Welcome to the news this week on Spectrum Television, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. A major recap of all stories that happened during the week. My name is Vi Anyek, and thanks for joining us. Now to the major stories. President Muhammadu Buhari promises intimidation-free elections in 2023. Federal government inaugurates committee on 2022 Independence Day celebration. Plus, U.S. approves potential $1.1 billion weapon sale to Taiwan. Details of the stories and more in a moment. We'll begin with President Muhammadu Buhari's promise on Tuesday not to allow intimidations of any sort, whether materially, morally, or physically, during the 2023 elections. He said the kind of leadership that thrived on intimidation would not benefit the nation. The president was speaking when he received some governors of the All Progressives Congress, led by Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, at the State House. President Buhari vowed to continue to respect Nigerians under his leadership by ensuring that their votes counted and the people's voice mattered in choosing political leaders at different levels. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari had on Monday signed a bill to establish the Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria into law. The president also gave assent to 8 other significant bills. This was confirmed in a statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, House of Representatives, Representative Nasir Ila. Still on presidential engagements, during the week, President Buhari approved the appointment of Ahmed Haliyu as Managing Director of Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company. Haliyu is said to be an elder brother to the First Lady, Aisha Buhari, and had headed the company in an acting capacity following the resignation of Abbas Masawa on May 16th. The president approved the appointment following the recommendation of the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, who serves as the company's board chairman. Away from that, Thursday saw Vice President Yemi Osinbajo propose a debt for climate swap deal to achieve a just and equitable energy transition for Africa. Osinbajo made the call during a lecture on a just and equitable energy transition for Africa at the Center for Global Development in Washington, D.C., USA. He said the swap deal, if approved, would significantly advance the cause of global net zero emissions target and facilitate energy access and the development of African countries. In a separate development, on Monday, federal government reiterated that petrol subsidy will remain in place until mid-2023, ahead of the 2023 budget presentation. According to the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, the government is proposing to spend only 3.36 trillion naira for petrol subsidy in 2023. She made the comment while meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on Finance in Abuja on the details of the 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The minister added that the federal government was proposing an aggregate expenditure of 19.76 trillion naira for the 2023 financial year, with a projected deficit of 11.3 trillion naira. She hinged her projection on crude oil production challenges and petrol subsidies deductions by the NNPC, saying those constitute significant threats to the achievement of the nation's revenue growth target. Ahmed ruled out the possibility of the federal government financing any capital project in 2023 fiscal year, going by the growing budget deficit. She warned Nigerians against comparing Nigeria with South Africa, which she said was a tax-based economy, while Nigeria, on the other hand, is competing with Sudan in the area of taxation. Also in the course of the week, the federal government inaugurated a 15-man interministerial committee to organize the celebration of Nigeria's 62nd Independence Day anniversary. While inaugurating the committee in Abuja, the secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said the committee was constituted to plan, organize, and execute all approved activities befitting Nigeria's 62nd Independence Anniversary celebrations on the 1st of October 2022. He said the committee was also mandated to document for posterity all planned activities for the anniversary. According to the SGF, the committee will also co-opt organizations and persons relevant to the successful executions of the programs and carry out other assignments as may be required for successful implementation of the program. In the meantime, the federal government yesterday launched a national action plan to end and prevent the emergence of new statelessness cases in the country. Statelessness is a situation in which a person is not recognized as a national of any state under the operation of its laws. Speaking during the event in Abuja, the Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola said statelessness violates the non-discriminatory provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. He added that there was the need to urgently end statelessness as a stateless person constituted a security threat to the country. On works, the federal government has commenced the repair of the Ogun-bound lane of the Kara Bridge along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, effective today. In a statement, the Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation, Frederick Olainde, said he received a notification from the Federal Ministry of Works on the ongoing reconstruction works along the Bega or Peak axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway project for an emergency fixing of the expansion joints that got damaged. The notification explained that the urgent repair work needed to be carried out on 3 of the expansion joints to prevent accidents and vehicular damages. Starts today. During the week, the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, assured that within 90 days from Wednesday, the ministry will secure accommodation to enable the takeoff of the Regional Maritime Development Bank. The minister spoke when the Secretary General Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa, Dr. Paul Adiliku, visited him in his office in Abuja. He urged the Secretary General to leverage the organization to push for Nigeria's intent of becoming a member of Category C in the International Maritime Organization. Earlier, Adiliku explained that the idea of a regional bank was conceived 11 years ago to facilitate single-digit interest loans, to provide freedom to key players in the sector and enable them compete favorably with their international counterparts. The judiciary kept busy within the week as the National and State Assembly Election Petition Trial Tribunal sitting in Jos Friday nullified the election of Musa Avia Aga of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). The court held that Aga was not validly nominated by the PDP for the by-election conducted on February 26th and did not score the highest valid vote in the election. Elsewhere, the Court of Appeal in Abuja had on Monday restored the Speaker of Delta State House of Assembly, Oborivorius Sharif, as the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 governorship election in the state. The appellate court voided and set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, which on July 7th nullified his nomination on ground of certificate forgery and perjury. Justice Peter Olashiige, who delivered the Court of Appeal decision, held that claims against the Speaker were criminal in nature and not proven beyond reasonable doubt. Still on judicial matters, this week, the Osun Election Petition Tribunal on Friday granted the governor-elect Senator Ademola Adeleke his prayer to inspect election materials from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The tribunal also granted Adeleke's prayer to conduct a forensic audit on the bimodal voters accreditation system machine. According to Hashim Abioye, who made this known on behalf of Adeleke's legal team, the developments will avail Adeleke's counsel to inspect materials used by INEC during the election and also to conduct a forensic audit of system machines. Meanwhile, Justice Inyako of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja dismissed a suit instituted by the federal government seeking to extradite the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari to the United States of America. In a ruling on Monday, the judge held that the extradition request filed by the Attorney General of the Federation on behalf of the federal government lacked merit and was liable to dismissal. Justice Eko, however, held that the federal government had no basis to file the extradition request, having put Kyari on trial in Nigeria in relation to the allegations against him in America. And on Tuesday, a federal high court in Abuja dismissed the fresh bail application filed by the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Kyari. In a ruling, Justice Emeka Nwite held that Kyari had not given sufficient grounds for the application to be granted. The judge said the detained police officer failed to raise new facts in his latest application after being denied the earlier bail request. Nwite consequently adjourned the matter until October 19th, 20 and 21st for trial continuation. To more from the judiciary this week, a federal high court in Lagos provided a recourse on Monday for 53 broadcasting stations whose licenses were revoked by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC). The court stopped President Muhammadu Buhari and the NBC from shutting down the stations for alleged failure to renew their licenses. Justice Akintayo Oluko granted an order to interim injunction following the hearing of an argument on motion ex parte by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) and the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Still on the judiciary, a Plateau State High Court sitting in Jos on Friday discharged and acquitted the former governor of the state, John Ojang, over 6.3 billion naira corruption charges leveled against him. The charges were leveled against Jang by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). The court, presided over by Justice Christy Daub, also discharged and acquitted a former cashier in the office of the secretary to the Plateau State government, Yusuf Palm, who was accused alongside the former governor. Reacting in a press statement posted on its verified Twitter page and signed by its head, Media and Publicity, Wilson Uwajiran, the EFCC said it would appeal the judgment. Still from the anti-graft agency, EFCC, the arrested Ogun speaker recently taken to Abuja for questioning has been on the wanted list of the commission following his failure to honor EFCC's invitation several times. The lawmaker was arrested at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Lagos, on Thursday over alleged misappropriation and embezzlement of funds. Recall that earlier this year, the EFCC had accused the Ogun State Assembly of engaging in forgery, money laundering, and falsification of financial records. The commission said some principal officers of the assembly had diverted public funds for use different from the purpose for which they were appropriated. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on Thursday announced the dates for the release of the final list of presidential and governorship candidates. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu released the dates today. during a meeting organized by the Center for Democracy and Development in Abuja with the theme Conducting Nigeria's 2023 Elections in Volatile Security Environment in Abuja. Yakubu gave the breakdown of activities leading up to the conduct of the 2023 elections, noting that while the final list of the presidential candidates will be out September 20th, that of governorship hopefuls will be released on October the 4th. The INEC boss asked political parties and their candidates to focus on issue-based campaigns. He further explained that the commission was collaborating with security agencies to ensure a peaceful election. In education, Monday saw the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, extend its ongoing strike after a series of heated discussions. The decision was taken after the National Executive Council meeting at the union's headquarters at the University of Abuja same day. The spokesperson for the Federal Ministry of Education, Ben Gong, said government had taken all possible steps to end the strike. He further stated that in view of the next steps, the government has inaugurated a committee to harmonize the IPPIS, UTAS and UP3, which will ensure payments through one platform that would harmonize all technical peculiarities. On his part, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo Tuesday observed that Nigeria needed to act fast on critical issues like the economy and the ongoing strike of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The Vice President stated this as he received the All Progressives Congress governors in his office at the Presidential Villa on a facilitation visit as he recovered from surgery done last month. To security matters now, during the week, Inspector General of Police Usman Baba had on Monday warned that attacks on police officers on official duties would no longer be tolerated. He also ordered all police commands and formations to ensure immediate prosecution of anyone who assaults policemen regardless of the causative factors. This was contained in a statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi. The IGP underscored the importance of according respect for the fundamental rights of police officers and other security operatives to enable them advance their mandate of serving and protecting the citizens better and the maintenance of law and order. Later on in the week, the IGP joined his counterparts across the globe at the 3rd United Nations Chiefs of Police Summit in the United States of America. The event, which is the third of its kind, is a global platform that brings together heads of police organizations from around the globe to discuss ways of strengthening global security and addressing cross-border threats through the unifying power of national and United Nations policing. Back here in Akwa Ibom, police have banned the activities of masquerades across the state during the week. In a statement, Police Public Relations Officer Odiko McDonn said the ban became necessary following violent and lawless actions of masqueraders leading to murders, threats to lives, assaults, and other breaches of fundamental rights. He noted that the police department had scrapped a curfew imposed by masquerades in the Mbak Ikorobasi and Mbari Koridiongo villages in Uyo. According to the police spokesman, the curfew imposed by the masquerade infringed on the fundamental rights of the people to freedom of association and movement. Similarly, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Olatoye Durosimi, warned that anyone who flouted the ban would face the wrath of the law. He equally advised citizens to go about their lawful activities without fear of molestation. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you the rest of the week news. Do stay with us.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police power with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's the bad thing in Nigeria. All for election night, you about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reforms they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, and in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them are stealing a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
Thanks for still being there. Now to the rest of our week news. Moving to Africa, where Angola's MPLA party had on Monday been declared winner of a closely fought election, extending its decades-long rule in the oil-rich country and handing President João Lourenço a second term. He promised to be the president of all Angolans and to open dialogue after the Electoral Commission announced the results, which saw the opposition make large gains. In his inaugural address shortly after the unveiling of the results of the August 24th ballot, 68-year-old Lourenço said his victory was for the country and its people. The National Electoral Commission reported that the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola won 51.17% of the ballots against 43.95% for the main challenger, the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, on Thursday. However, Angolan's leading opposition party said it filed a legal complaint challenging the election results. Still in Africa, within the week, lawyers for the chairperson of Kenya's Electoral Commission mounted a spirited defense at the Supreme Court hearing on the challenges to the presidential election results on Thursday. Chairperson Wafula Chebukati had been accused of violating the Constitution and electoral law during the declaration of the election results. Appearing before a 7-judge bench, lawyers told the court that Chebukati was mandated by law to announce the results. They described the petition challenging Chebukati as a witch hunt and full of speculation, saying that no evidence had been presented to support the allegations. Elsewhere, fighting was reported in a volatile area of northern Ethiopia on Monday, despite urgent international appeals for a halt to the renewed hostilities between government forces and Tigrayan rebels. The government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) have each blamed the other for unleashing the renewed hostilities in the areas bordering the southeastern tip of Tigray. Clashes were reported in an area around the town of Kobo, which lies in the Amhara region south of Tigray, and fell into the hands of rebel fighters last weekend, prompting many residents to take flight. On Tuesday, Tigrayan rebels said they intended to advance further into neighboring regions of northern Ethiopia, but were still open to peace talks. Away from that, on Monday, African countries had called for an end to a climate injustice, noting that the continent caused less than 4% of global carbon dioxide emissions, but paid one of the highest prices for global warming. Government officials, international organizations, NGOs, and the private sector from more than 60 African nations attended the opening of Africa Climate Week in Gabon's capital to prepare for the COP27 UN Climate Conference in Egypt in November. Host President Ali Odimba told the gathering that the continent had to speak with one voice and offer concrete proposals for COP27. On the foreign scene, the first shipment of grain from Ukraine to Africa since the war began docked at the Red Sea port in Djibouti on Tuesday. The Lebanese-flagged MV Brave Commander is reportedly carrying 23,000 tons of wheat bound for Ethiopia. On Monday, Ukraine had started a long-awaited counter-offensive in the country's south. A spokesperson for the country's southern military command, Natalia Humenik, announced the development at a press briefing in Kyiv. In a related development, the International Atomic Energy Agency journey to Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant this week did little to end shelling around the facility. Ukraine and Russia traded accusations over each other's actions around the power plant yesterday, as a team of inspectors from the UN nuclear watchdog tried to check the safety of the facility and avert a potential disaster. In a tweet, IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi visited the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in Ukraine and said his team would maintain a continued presence there. On Monday, the White House had asked Russia to agree to a demilitarized zone around the Ukrainian nuclear plant that had become a dangerous front line in the ongoing war. The fifth reactor of the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant was yesterday reconnected to Ukraine's grid, a day after it shut down due to shelling near the site. Ukraine State's nuclear company Energetam confirmed the development on the Telegram messaging app. Meanwhile, a group of 7 finance ministers has agreed to implement a price cap on Russian origin crude oil and petroleum products. They confirmed this in a joint statement. The minister said the initial price cap will be based on a range of technical inputs and the price level will be revisited as necessary. The move comes a day after Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak warned that Moscow would halt oil and petroleum product supplies to countries deciding to cap the Russian oil price. Norwegian energy firm on Friday completed its exit from Russia in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, delivering on a promise made in February. This marks the first full orderly exit from Russia by an international oil and gas firm, as pressure mounts on others such as Total Energies and ExxonMobil to also leave. European Union on Monday said it was planning to suspend an agreement that eases the path for Russians to apply for visas to travel to the bloc. An EU diplomat confirmed this to reporters. Meanwhile, within the week, Russia launched week-long war games involving forces from China and other nations. In a show of growing defense cooperation between Moscow and Beijing, the Vostok 2022 drills that started on Thursday came amid Russia's all-out war in Ukraine, which began on the 24th of February. While both Russia and China face tensions with the United States. An analyst at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, Graham Onweb, told reporters that the scale of the military drills held this year was bigger compared with previous years. He said it was a signal that the two countries will cooperate and coordinate on military affairs. The analyst said several ex-Soviet nations, China, India, Laos, Mongolia, Nicaragua, and Syria, are taking part in the drills, which are scheduled to end on September 7th. Away from that, United States has approved the potential sale of $1.1 billion in weapons to Taiwan. The Pentagon announced in a move that will likely worsen already heightened tensions between Washington and Beijing. The Pentagon's Defense Security Cooperation Agency said on Friday that the arms package would include 60 anti-ship missiles, 100 air-to-air missiles, and contractor logistics support for a surveillance radar program. A spokesperson for the U.S. Department of State, which approved the sale, said the package was essential for Taiwan's security. China had on Monday urged the United States not to be what it referred to as the troublemaker for peace and stability of the Taiwan Straits. Elsewhere, Myanmar's deposed leader Aung San Suu was yesterday found guilty of electoral fraud and sentenced to 3 years in jail with hard labor. The latest sentence adds to the 17 years in prison that she was already handed for other offenses. The Nobel laureate and figurehead of Myanmar's opposition to decades of military rule has been detained since a coup early last year, but denies all allegations against her. Aung San Suu Kyi was judged to have committed fraud in a November 2020 general election that had National League for Democracy won with an overwhelming majority, trouncing a party created by the country's powerful military. The sentence was a special court rendition at a prison in the capital, was conveyed by a legal official who said Aung San Suu Kyi and 2 other defendants in the case appeared in good health.
Equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. Equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight,
in the United States, President Joe Biden yesterday charged Republican allies of Donald Trump with undermining the country's democracy. Biden also urged voters to reject extremism ahead of November's midterm elections. He accused lawmakers and others devoted to make the America Great Again agenda led by former U.S. President Trump as willing to overturn democratic elections and ignore the Constitution. Biden alleged that the agenda's devotees were determined to take the country backwards to a time without rights to abortion, privacy, contraception, or same-sex marriage. The primetime speech in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy, reportedly marked a sharp turn for Biden as midterm congressional elections approach. In a separate development, on Monday, Iraqi Shia leader of Muqtada al-Sadr announced that he was quitting political life and closing his political offices in a move that further inflamed tensions in the country. Iraqi cleric Muqtada al-Sadr called on his followers to stop protesting on Tuesday, after violent clashes between rival Shiite Muslim groups continued for a second day, following his announcement that he was withdrawing from politics. The violence prompted Iran to close its air and land borders with Iraq, just as millions of Iranians were preparing for an annual pilgrimage to Shiite sites. Iraq's caretaker Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi Tuesday hailed al-Sadr as a patriot for calling on his supporters to end their protests and refrain from violence. The Prime Minister said on Twitter that Sadr's call to end the bloodshed placed a moral duty on all Iraqis to engage in dialogue. In Pakistan, a huge relief operation and international began trickling in on Monday as the country struggled to deal with monsoon flooding that has killed more than 1,000 people and affected more than 33 million in the South Asian nation. Officials said 1,061 people had died in Pakistan since June when the seasonal rains began, but the final flood death toll could be higher as hundreds of villages in the mountainous north have been caught up by flood-swollen rivers, washing away roads and bridges. The first 8 flights reportedly began arriving yesterday from Turkey and the UAE. The annual monsoon is essential for irrigating crops and replenishing lakes and dams across the Indian subcontinent, but it can also bring destruction. Officials said this year's flooding affected more than 33 million people, 1 in 7 Pakistanis, destroying or badly damaging nearly 1 million homes. Aid efforts ramped up across flooded Pakistan on Tuesday to help tens of millions of people affected by relentless monsoon rains that have submerged a third of the country and claimed more than 1,100 lives. Moving now to Argentina, where officials have confirmed that the Vice President Cristina de Kirchner was unharmed after a man with a loaded gun tried to shoot her, but the gun did not go off. The attack underscores rising political tension in Argentina and around the region that has put politicians on edge from Colombia to Brazil. In a televised address, President Alberto Fernandez said the man had pointed a firearm at Kirchner's head and pulled the trigger, but that the vice president was still alive because the gun did not fire. The president said the gun had been loaded with 5 bullets. Kirchner is on trial on corruption charges and hundreds of supporters had gathered outside her Buenos Aires home when the attack took place. The assailant, who authorities identified as a 35-year-old man of Brazilian origin, was quickly arrested by police and the weapon seized. An explosion at the mosque in the city of Herat in western Afghanistan has killed a high-profile pro-Taliban cleric Mujib Ansari, as well as more than a dozen civilians yesterday. The blast went off in the Guzar Mosque in Herat during Friday noon prayers. Herat's police spokesperson Mahmoud Rasoli noted that Ansari with some of his guards and civilians were killed on their way toward the mosque. Rasoli said one of the suicide bombers had blown himself up while kissing his hands. Spokesman for the governor of Herat province, Abdullah Mutawal, told reporters that 18 people were martyred in the incident and 23 others were wounded. Reacting, the Taliban spokesman Zabullah Mujahid vowed the perpetrators behind the bombing would be punished. Still to come in the news. Serena Williams loses to Tomljanovic in US Open farewell. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by Godfrey, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the concluding part of the news. On our business news, Akwa Ibom State Government met with private investors across Nigeria for a collaborative partnership in the development of Dakada Luxury Estate. Governor Dom Emmanuel opened up on these within the week during a private investors forum organized by Think Meet Nigeria at the Federal Palace Hotel, Lagos. On the list of attractive amenities presented, the private investigators include power substation for a 24-hour electricity supply, a police station for adequate security, a water treatment plant, a fire substation, sewage treatment, 24 hours internet facility, and other attractions. Represented by the Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Mobong, the governor said the Dakada Luxury Estate, located on the airport road near the Victor Atta International Airport for easy accessibility, was a getaway place for holiday and excellent luxurious habitation. Still in business, Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, has called on the National Assembly to do its due diligence in the budget process because of the rising debt profile. Oniha made the call on Thursday while appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Finance. She decried the rising budget deficit, which has forced the government to resort to borrowing, noting that the debt profile of Nigeria was over 41.6 trillion naira. It could be recalled that the federal government had on Monday proposed to borrow 11 trillion naira to fund the 2023 budget. Oniha asked the lawmakers to scrutinize the capital and overhead components of the budget to reduce borrowing. Elsewhere, reports show that worries over the prospects for the UK economy had led the pound to slide by about 5% against the US dollar in August. The last time the pound fell so much against the dollar was in October 2016, in the aftermath of the Brexit vote. Sterling sank again on Thursday morning, dipping below $1.16 on the currency market. Analysts said the fall reflects the darkening outlook for the economy, with consumers and businesses facing rising prices and soaring energy bills. The Bank of England had predicted the UK will fall into recession toward the end of this year. In health, the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors had regretted that 6 out of 10 doctors in Nigeria plan to leave the country for greener pastures. This is as it said there are only 12,297 resident doctors in both the federal and state tertiary health institutions in the country. The association's president, Dr. Dare Ishaya, who stated this in an interview with journalists within the week, identified the reasons behind the developments, saying the push factor was majorly the nation's economy. He expressed disappointment at the devalued rate of the naira, while making comparisons of payments made to doctors in the country in contrast with medical professionals practicing abroad. In sports, Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa has left Turkish Super League outfit Fatih Karagümrük after his contract was terminated by the club. Fatih Karagümrük announced the termination of Musa's contract on the official website yesterday. The 29-year-old joined Ferry Karagümrük as a free agent last summer. The versatile forward was also released by Saudi Arabia professional league club Al Nasser before the end of his contract. He has made 3 league appearances for Fatih Karagümrük. Still in sport, a defense, Serena Williams bid an emotional goodbye to the US Open with a third-round loss to Ajla Chumnovic yesterday in what may have been the last singles match of her glittering career. According to reports, defeat has always been hard to swallow for the fiercely competitive Williams, and no doubt the loss to the 46th ranked Australian stung her to her core. However, after a joyous run into the third round, there was no shame in a loss to the gritty Tomnodovic, allowing the 23-time Grand Slam winner to exist with dignity intact and head held high. Her 3 matches, highlighted by a second-round win over world number 2 Annette Kontaveit, were a gift to her fans. The relentless never-surrender attitude that made her tennis-dominant player for over 2 decades on display right until the very final point. She told reporters that while she was clearly still capable, she wanted more than that and was ready to be a mom, exploring a different version of herself. On our entertainment news, Nigerian gospel singer Tim Godfrey took to his Instagram page on Wednesday to celebrate being healed from paralysis. The music star shared a lengthy message on how he was diagnosed with aging bones and spines and got healed. Godfrey is a Nigerian gospel singer with several hit songs. He's the founder and owner of the record label Rocks Nation and also the founder of Extreme Crew. Still in entertainment, the report of the death of multi-talented Nigerian act Olarenwaju Fasasi, popularly known as Sound Sultan, on July 11, 2021, rocked the whole Nigerian entertainment industry. A year and a few months after his passing on, his estate has released a Sound Sultan posthumous album titled Reality Check, through which he leaves an enduring part of himself. This project, just like the rest of his work, serves not only as a form of entertainment but also as an instrument of social change or call for a better society. It consists of 5 tracks and entertains guest appearances by the legendary Tu Baba alongside talented street hop act Bella Shumrunda and Zlatan. Away from that, Nigerian rapper Panchak Zamani, popularly known as Ice Prince Zamani, has been arrested for allegedly abducting a police officer. The spokesperson for the police in Lagos, Benjamin Hundayin, broke the news in a tweet this morning, detailing how the singer was arrested. He said the singer was arrested for an alleged assault on a police officer who stopped him for driving without license plate. In a tweet, Hundayin alleged that the rapper threatened to throw the officer into a river at the point of arrest. The PPRO posted a photo of the rapper in handcuffs and said he would be prosecuted. And finally, Taylor Swift announced a new album as she scooped the top prize at the MTV Video Music Awards on Sunday. The singer won several prizes at the event, including the coveted Best Video for All Too Well 10-minute version. Swift said she was so honored to win the prize and took the opportunity to tell fans her next album, Midnight, would be released on 21st of October. Other winners include Billie Eilish, Lizzo and Harry Styles, while Johnny Depp made a pre-recorded appearance. And that's all we have for you at this time. There are shorter follow us on social media, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been used this week on Spectrum Television. Thanks for joining us and do enjoy. I am Uyai Anyakan.